doesn't show up for you because it just works. Inconsiderateness is kind of like equipment that's ready to hand in your dealings with others. Because think about how much more burdensome life would be if you had to be considerate of others all the time. Like all the time, before you even made a comment anywhere or said anything, you had to first think about them. Before you drove anywhere, you had to think about the other people in the cars around you, right? Like for the most part, everybody else is driving and you're driving, everybody's following the rules, and you can be inconsiderate of each other without any problems, right? Normally it's just the way the world works. And we're really good socially in setting up social systems or norms that allow us to be inconsiderate of one another and for us not to notice that. It remains hidden from us because it just works. Look, to be considerate is work. Not the least of which, because in order for someone to think you're being considerate, you have to go like the extra mile. Otherwise, they'll just think you're being normal. Because we'll see why we'll look at Spinoza. So considerateness is this idea of clearing space and letting them be more important than you. Or experiencing their care in a free way that isn't trying to use it. It's just letting it be. Does that make sense? Or even freeing them up for what's important to them, not you. That's being considerate, right? That's a kind of leaping ahead, right? I'll give you an example of this. With this coronavirus fear, my wife decided that we should all, when we come into the house, take our clothes all off, put them in a plastic bag, seal it up. She didn't stop short of, like getting hazmat suits and everything, and put on a robe, and then walk into the rest of the house. So you had to stop in the laundry room, locked all the other doors coming into the house, so put up a sign, said people, this is the new protocol. Until coronavirus is over, this is what we're gonna do. And of course, nobody wants to do like, oh, that's ridiculous. You're going way over the top. This is not even what the CDC is suggesting, right? It's ridiculous. My initial reaction was to tell her, you're nuts. This is extreme, we're not gonna do it. I'm reading Heidegger. I know where we're going with forbearance and considerateness and all this stuff, right? So I think, you know what? It's a pain, but it matters to her. So it matters to her as a way of saying she has care, and it's okay if her cares are not my cares. This does not matter to me. It doesn't matter in the same way at all. And in fact, I see this as a lot of work for extremely low benefit because it's insignificant to me. My clothes are insignificant. That they might, like a 1 in a billion chance that a virus is going to stick to my clothes, it's insignificant. But it was significant to her. So how do I leap ahead? By closing it off? Or by considerateness, and this is going to lead us to here, forbearance. My care said this is insignificant. Her care assigned significance to things that were insignificant to me. So how do I leap ahead? I first have to consider her care, not try to take it over, and exercise forbearance on my care, right? Now, sometimes this doesn't work at all, and it's totally okay that you don't do this. For instance, a serial killer cares about killing people. They're wrong. We don't have to talk about all the reasons why that's wrong and give justification for it. We'll just say it's wrong. Should I nonetheless be considerate and forbear? No way, right? That's too much. That's going too far, right? And for some people, taking all your clothes off, this is going too far. Why? Probably because their care is less significant than it is to me, but I'm the husband. So I don't care about her care. I'm in trouble in just the happiness of the way I get along in life, right? So I see this as not a chance for us to have this sort of whatever. This is a small thing I can do to show her that she matters, right? But other people may not feel that way, and that's okay too, right? Because how you will be considerate and how you will show forbearance or why is entirely dependent on whether you care about their care. And you cannot live your life caring about everybody else's care. It's impossible. People have to care about their own care, because otherwise your life will be way too cumbersome. You just can't do it, right? Aristotle said it this way: "Oh, my friends, there is no friend," which is a paradoxical statement. But what he meant by that is something like, you can't have too many friends. You cannot have very many friends in this life. If you have very many friends, you won't be friends with any of them, because you can't spread yourself out like that. You can only leap ahead a few times, or with a few people. But if you try to do it with everybody, you're just going to lose yourself or something. I don't know what would happen. I don't know what would happen. Maybe you'd be Jesus or Buddha, I guess. Maybe you can try. It's maybe a long process. I don't know. All right, so questions about consideration and forbearance as ways of leaping ahead. It's a really beautiful little idea, but Heidegger does not deal with this a whole lot, because this is not the norm, and this isn't the way we live, and what he's after is our average everyday life. And our average everyday life is one of inconsiderateness and the opposite of forbearance, which would be what? I guess impatience or domination, maybe would be the way of thinking about that, or asserting yourself, maybe that's it, of asserting. Right? Like making it go how you want it to go. Or persuading other people that your way is the right way, right? Or something like that. Okay, so getting back then to our average everyday life. This is kind of like this little oasis of kindness and beauty here. And then we're like, okay, now we're going to snap back into real life. Here we go with the they, right? So turn with me to page 163. There are some philosophers, Heideggerians, who know this probably better than I do, I don't know, and they will make a point of saying that Heidegger is not trying to create a value here, a value judgment, that being inauthentic is okay. And he doesn't mean by it, inauthenticity is bad and authenticity is good. But I cannot read this section on the they without seeing Heidegger throwing serious shade on inauthenticity. Like he is ripping into the they. And it turns out though, who is the they? I am and you are. This is our average everyday life is the they. It's the they life. So inauthenticity, I cannot help but see as not what Heidegger wants for any of us. This is not good, but it is what we are, right? We are the they. So look on the bottom of 126. We're going to just start reading. We're going to read these pages, a few pages, because he's so good, but also so pointed. Like after you read this, if you don't feel like, oh, dang, that sucks, then I'm not doing a very good job of teaching you. Because at the end of this, you should be like, ah, I don't want to be the they. All right. In one's concern with what one has taken hold of, whether with, for, or against the others, there is constant care as to the way one differs from them, whether that difference is merely one that is to be evened out, whether one's Dasein is like behind the others and wants to catch up in relationship to them, or whether one's Dasein already has some priority over them and sets out to keep them suppressed. Okay, there are people, they're usually young adults, teenagers, who think they don't care about what other people think about them. Biggest lie ever. Nobody gets to live like that. Everybody cares. Everybody cares about what other people think of them. There's no doubt about that. If they didn't, then why don't you just run around naked? Well, what are you going to say to that? if you don't care about what other people think of you, then why don't you just go step on that baby and pee in somebody's Cheerios and throw their stuff around and key cars, right? Like, why do you even go to school if you don't care what people think of you? If you don't care what your parents think of you, or you don't care about what other, like, I couldn't imagine what life would look like if there was a Dasein running around that didn't care about what other people thought about them, really, right? Like, every decision anybody makes, especially those people who are like, I don't care what you think about me, I'm going to wear this no matter what. They totally care about what you think of them. They just want you to think they don't care about you. And they care that you think that they don't care about you. That's a way of caring, right? If you judge me for my clothes, then that's your problem. That's already a response to caring about what you think of their clothes. Otherwise, you would be like, what? Oh, I didn't even see you there. Like, clothes? Yeah, I guess I'm wearing clothes. I didn't even notice I was wearing. How about that? I'm wearing clothes today. Like, people don't live like that, right? You always care. And you notice how you are in relationship to others, right? Like, you see whether your shoes are like their shoes, better than their shoes, worse than their shoes. Like, okay, we'll take the extreme example, middle school. You walk into a classroom at middle school, and distanciality, how you are in relationship to others, is all over the place. And the kids who are making fun of the kid who doesn't have the Jumpman shoes or whatever because his mom buys his clothes at Target or Walmart or whatever it is, right? Like, there's distanciality right there, caring about whether you're in with others, out with others, keeping up with them, behind them, alongside them, right? That's what he's saying here. The care about this distance between them is disturbing to being with one another, though this disturbance is one that is hidden from it. That is, it's saturating, but you don't deal with the disturbance of it, that it matters so much to you, what other people are doing and how you are in relationship to them, right? If we may express this existentially, such being with one another has the character of distanciality. The more inconspicuous this kind of being is to everyday Dasein itself, all the more stubbornly and primordially does it work itself out. What does that mean? So remember, what is conspicuousness?
It becomes unuseful.
Yeah, it's broken, right? It breaks down. It's not a tool ready to hand anymore. So, can being alongside others be a tool for getting along in the world? Yes, it's equipment. It's equipment for Dasein's getting along in the world. And it can break down, just like any other bit of equipment. So let's think about when it's going to break down. When does the fact that you are always comparing yourself to others break down? It's working when you don't notice it, right? It's inconspicuous when you don't realize you're doing it. So when does it become conspicuous? When you realize you're doing it, and what are you almost always going to find out about yourself? You're behind, is what you're really going to find out. Oh, crap. Here's an example of that. I went to this professional conference. It cost a ton of money for the college to send me there for like future leaders of America or something, right? I was a really bad candidate for that job, as it turns out, because I don't want to do academic administration. But I show up wearing this, I don't know, pair of jeans and it was a button-down shirt, but it was a button-down shirt that had like a big dragon on the back of it, right? It was really funky. I liked it, but it was not. Everybody else was in suits and ties and dresses, really properly attired for networking. They had presidents of colleges who were looking to interview for vice president positions and all this stuff, and I go sauntering in there in jeans, wearing these loafers with a dragon embroidered shirt on, you know, and I was like instantly, oh crap, I wore the wrong clothes. I should have worn my suit. And how comfortable do you think I felt that whole night? Totally uncomfortable. I was like, this guy does not belong here, right? I was behind. Dasein. It broke, right? What broke? That normally I'm doing this, but it's in the background because I'm even with them, right? Or I'm happy with where it is. It's working for me, right? I compare myself to others and I'm cool with what I find. It's when I'm not cool with what I find that it becomes conspicuous that I'm doing it. So you're always doing it. It just usually works. It becomes conspicuous, it breaks down, which happens occasionally. And when it happens occasionally, how do you feel as Dasein? Like you don't belong in the there where you are. And what does Dasein mean? Being there. You're being there. So how am I being there? Uncomfortably there. I am not happy with the Dasein that I am because I'm in a possibility that I don't want to be, but I'm in that possibility in this there, and I got to be there because this is my facticity. And now all these people are making judgments about me, and that's going to affect my future, and it's affecting my possibility to be. I can't be familiar with my being here. I'm feeling unfamiliar with my being here. I'm feeling not me. I have become conspicuous to myself in my not me-ness. Right? I don't like this feeling. Dang it, why didn't I just wear a suit? Would have been better to be overdressed than underdressed. Or I might even say this, why don't they send out a note and tell you what you should be wearing if they're supposed to wear nice clothes to these sorts of things? Like, it's somebody else's fault for my being not happy with the me that I am. Okay, so that's when it becomes conspicuous, right? When it breaks down. But that doesn't mean you're not doing it all the rest of the time. It means you are doing it all the rest of the time. You're just doing it so well that you don't even notice. It's the closest thing to you. It's like the glasses that you can't find. They're there. They're right there. It's just you look past them because you're so used to it. That is your world, right? So, but this distantiality, now remember, distantiality means I size up where I am in relationship to the Dasein around me, and I'm either with them, or I'm ahead of them, or I'm behind them, right? And that is inconspicuous. This distantiality which belongs to being with is such that Dasein, as everyday being